Bedtime Stories, American English. The House at the End of Maple Street. Segment 1. Maple Street was a quiet place. During the day, it looked ordinary. Small houses stood in a neat line. Trees moved gently when the wind passed. Children rode bicycles in the afternoon. Neighbors waved to each other. But at night, Maple Street became very calm. Lights turned off one by one. Sounds slowly disappeared. The street rested. At the very end of Maple Street, there was an old house. The house was not scary. It was not broken. It was just old. Its paint was a little faded. Its porch light was soft and warm. The windows were clean, but usually dark. People often noticed the house, but no one talked about it much. A young woman named Clara moved to Maple Street in early autumn. She rented a small apartment near the middle of the street. Clara worked during the day and came home tired in the evening. She liked quiet places. She liked slow evenings. She liked peace. Every night, before going to sleep, Clara made tea. She sat near her window and looked outside. And every night, she noticed the house at the end of Maple Street. One night, she saw a light turn on inside that house. It was not bright, it was soft. It stayed on for a long time. Clara felt curious but not afraid. The next night, she saw the same light again. Always calm, always steady. One evening, Clara asked her neighbor, Mrs. Green, "Who lives in the house at the end of the street?" Mrs. Green smiled gently. "An old man named Henry," she said. "He has lived there for many years." "Is he kind?" Clara asked. Mrs. Green nodded. "Yes, very kind, very quiet." That night, Clara went to bed earlier than usual. The day had been long. Her body felt heavy. She turned off the lights. She lay down. She listened to the soft sounds of the night. Outside, the wind moved the trees. A distant car passed slowly. Everything felt safe. Clara closed her eyes. But sleep did not come right away. Her thoughts moved gently like slow clouds. Then she remembered the house again. She opened her eyes and looked out the window. The light was on. Something about that light felt comforting. It did not demand attention. It did not disturb the night. It simply existed. Clara felt her breathing slow down. She thought, someone else is awake too. That thought made her feel less alone. The next day, Clara decided to take a walk in the evening. The sky was soft orange and blue. The air was cool. She walked slowly down Maple Street, past the houses, past the trees. She reached the end of the street. The old house stood quietly. The porch light was on. The door opened gently. An old man stepped outside. He was tall but moved slowly. His hair was white. His face looked peaceful. He noticed Clara and smiled. "Good evening," he said in a calm voice. "Good evening," Clara replied. There was a short silence, not an uncomfortable one. Then the old man spoke again. "My name is Henry," he said. "I don't see you often. Are you new here?" "Yes," Clara said. "I moved here recently." Henry nodded. "Maple Street is a good place for rest," he said. Clara smiled. "Yes, I like it." She looked at the porch light and asked softly, "You always keep your light on at night?" Henry looked at the light too. "Yes, I do." "Why?" Clara asked gently. Henry did not answer right away. He took a slow breath. "Because the night can feel long," he said. and a small light can make it feel kinder. Clara listened carefully. Henry continued. When I was younger, nights felt heavy to me. Quiet, but heavy. He smiled softly. So I leave the light on. Not for anyone special, just in case. Clara felt something warm in her chest. She nodded. I think I understand. Henry smiled again. They stood quietly for a moment. The sky grew darker. Stars appeared slowly. Clara said, "Good night, Henry." "Good night," he replied. As Clara walked back home, she felt lighter. That night, she made her tea. She sat near the window. She looked at the house at the end of Maple Street. The light was on. She lay down in her bed. Her breathing slowed. Her thoughts became quiet. The light stayed on, and slowly, peacefully, sleep came. Segment 2. The nights on Maple Street followed a gentle rhythm. Lights turned off. Windows grew dark. The street rested again and again. Clara began to notice how her evenings changed. She no longer felt rushed when night arrived. She no longer checked her phone again and again. She let the day fade naturally. Every night she made tea. Every night she looked toward the end of Maple Street. And every night the light was there. It was not bright like a street lamp. It was not sharp or strong. It was warm, steady, patient. One evening, Clara came home later than usual. The day had been long. Her mind felt full. She turned onto Maple Street and slowed her steps. The quiet welcomed her. Halfway down the street, she noticed something new. Another porch light was on. Not Henry's, a different house. Then she noticed another. Two houses now had their porch lights glowing softly. Clara paused for a moment. She smiled. The next evening, she walked again, slowly. She counted. 3 lights, then 4. The lights were not planned. No one talked about them. They simply appeared, like small stars on the ground. A few days later, Clara saw Henry again. He was standing on his porch holding a cup of tea. "Good evening," he said. "Good evening," Clara replied. She hesitated, then asked, "I've noticed more lights on the street lately." Henry smiled. "Yes," he said, "I've noticed too." "Did you ask them?" Clara asked. Henry shook his head. "No." "Then why?" she asked softly. Henry looked down the street. "Sometimes," he said, "people see something gentle and they carry it forward without words." Clara liked that idea. They stood quietly, listening to the night. A breeze passed. Leaves whispered. Henry spoke again. "When my wife was alive," he said, "she used to sit by the window at night." Clara listened without interrupting. "She said the dark was not frightening," Henry continued. "It was just empty, and empty things can feel lonely." He smiled faintly. So she lit a lamp, not to chase the dark away, just to sit with it. Clara felt calm listening to his voice. After that evening, Clara began to change a small habit. She stopped closing her curtains completely. She left them open just enough. She turned on a small lamp near her window. Not bright, just enough. That light was not for the street, it was for her. It reminded her that rest was allowed, that quiet was safe. One night, rain came softly. The street grew darker than usual. Clouds covered the stars. The sound of rain filled the air. Clara lay in bed, listening. She looked toward the end of Maple Street. Henry's light was on. Other lights glowed too. The rain felt less lonely. The next morning, Clara woke up feeling rested. The rain had cleaned the air. The street looked fresh. On her way to work, she noticed a small note taped near the community mailbox. It read, "Thank you for the lights. They make the nights feel kinder." There was no name. Clara smiled. That evening, she saw a young couple walking slowly down the street. They stopped near Henry's house. They did not knock. They did not speak. They simply stood for a moment looking at the light. Then they walked on. Henry saw them too. "They didn't need anything," Clara said softly. Henry nodded. "Sometimes," he said, "people just need to know they are not alone." As autumn moved closer to winter, Maple Street grew quieter. Windows closed earlier. Warm lights became more important. Clara noticed that even on the coldest nights, the lights stayed on. Not every house, but enough. One evening, Clara felt tired in a different way. Not physical, emotional. She sat by her window longer than usual. She watched the lights. She thought about her own life, the changes, the quiet moments, the slow healing she didn't even notice happening. She realized something. The light at the end of Maple Street had not changed her life loudly. It had changed it gently. It taught her that rest is not weakness, that stillness is not emptiness, that small, steady things can bring comfort. That night, Clara slept deeply. Outside, Maple Street glowed softly. Lights waited. Quiet stayed. And the night passed kindly. Segment 3. Winter arrived quietly on Maple Street. It did not come with storms or loud winds. It came with softer mornings and longer nights. Frost touched the grass. Breath became visible in the air. People walked a little faster, hands in their pockets. But the street still felt safe. Clara noticed that the lights mattered more now. As days became shorter, the glow in the evening felt warmer. One night, snow began to fall. It was light at first, slow and gentle. Clara stood by her window and watched. The snow covered the street in silence. Cars moved slowly. Footsteps softened. At the end of Maple Street, the house stood calmly. Henry's light was on. Clara wrapped herself in a blanket and sat down. The snow made the world feel smaller, quieter. She thought about how strange it was. A single light had changed how she felt at night. It did not fix her life. It did not answer big questions, but it made space for rest. The next morning, Clara woke up early. Snow covered the street completely. She put on her coat and stepped outside. The air was cold but fresh. As she walked, she noticed footprints in the snow. They moved slowly down Maple Street. Some stopped near the lights. Some turned back. At the end of the street, Henry stood on his porch. He was holding a small shovel. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," Clara replied. They smiled. Henry cleared a small path on his porch. Not all of it, just enough. "Do you need help?" Clara asked. Henry shook his head. "I like doing this," he said. "It reminds me I'm still here." They worked quietly for a few minutes. Snow fell softly around them. After a while, Henry leaned on his shovel. "You know," he said, "when I first started leaving the light on, I didn't think about others." Clara listened. "I was just trying to be kind to myself. The nights felt long. The house felt too quiet." He looked down the street. "Then I realized something. When you care for yourself gently, others sometimes feel it too." Clara felt those words settle inside her. That evening, the street. Segment 3. Winter arrived quietly on Maple Street. It did not come with storms or loud winds. It came with softer mornings and longer nights. Frost touched the grass. Breath became visible in the air. People walked a little faster, hands in their pockets. But the street still felt safe. Clara noticed that the lights mattered more now. As days became shorter, the glow in the evening felt warmer. One night, snow began to fall. It was light at first, slow and gentle. Clara stood by her window and watched. The snow covered the street in silence. Cars moved slowly. Footsteps softened. At the end of Maple Street, the house stood calmly. Henry's light was on. Clara wrapped herself in a blanket and sat down. The snow made the world feel smaller, quieter. She thought about how strange it was. A single light had changed how she felt at night. It did not fix her life. It did not answer big questions, but it made space for rest. The next morning, Clara woke up early. Snow covered the street completely. She put on her coat and stepped outside. The air was cold but fresh. As she walked, she noticed footprints in the snow. They moved slowly down Maple Street. Some stopped near the lights. Some turned back. At the end of the street, Henry stood on his porch. He was holding a small shovel. "Good morning," he said. "Good morning," Clara replied. They smiled. Henry cleared a small path on his porch. Not all of it, just enough. "Do you need help?" Clara asked. Henry shook his head. "I like doing this," he said. "It reminds me I'm still here." They worked quietly for a few minutes. Snow fell softly around them. After a while, Henry leaned on his shovel. "You know," he said, "when I first started leaving the light on, I didn't think about others." Clara listened. "I was just trying to be kind to myself. The nights felt long, the house felt too quiet." He looked down the street. "Then I realized something. When you care for yourself gently, others sometimes feel it too." Clara felt those words settle inside her. That evening, the street looked different. Snow reflected the lights. The glow felt brighter, even though the bulbs were the same. More lights appeared as darkness came. Windows glowed. Porches warmed the night. The street felt held. Clara made her tea and sat near her window. She watched the snow fall again. She thought about her life before Maple Street, how busy everything felt, how she carried the day into the night. Now, nights were different. They were not empty. They were full of quiet. A few days later, Clara noticed Henry's porch light was off. Her heart paused for a moment. She watched carefully. Then the door opened. Henry stepped outside and turned the light on again. Clara smiled, relieved. Later that week, Clara knocked on Henry's door. He opened it slowly. "I brought you something," Clara said. She handed him a small lamp. It was simple, warm, for inside, for nights when the house feels too quiet. Henry looked at the lamp for a long moment. "Thank you," he said softly. They stood there, two quiet people sharing a small moment. That evening, Clara returned home feeling peaceful. She turned on her own small lamp. She left her curtains slightly open. She lay down and watched the soft glow. Down the street, lights waited, not to be noticed, just to be there. As sleep came, Clara understood something important. You do not need to shine brightly to bring comfort. You do not need to be loud to be present. Sometimes being steady is enough. Gentle message. If nights feel long for you, remember this. A small light can change how the dark feels. A quiet presence can ease the heart. Rest is allowed. Sleep comes easier when you let it arrive slowly. Outside, Maple Street rested. Lights glowed. Snow fell softly. And the night passed, kind and gentle.